I'm eating breakfast and talking because I want to. And I do what I want to do. Getting better and better at that. It is a crazy thing, though, how the mind... it's so full of shit. The mind will panic and freak out and go, what are you doing? What are you doing? This isn't what we want. But it is. It is. It's just, it's not what the mind thinks it wants because it doesn't feel safe. It feels unsafe. It feels scary. And so the mind goes, no, we don't want it because it's scary. But everything in the soul, everything in the body, the heart, the soul is saying, yes, yes, this is what we want. This is it, man. The mind just injects anxiety because it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand. It doesn't get it. And I am not my mind. I'm not any of the thoughts there. The process is certainly not the identity that is crumbling away. Oh, there's this old identity that is so deeply triggered. It's gonna keep being triggered. It's time. I lost a lot of it when I had my accident. Severe concussion, all kinds of stuff. That was what helped me start to break away. But I've never faced a challenge, an opportunity like this. That old identity, that old small self, it was a very sad self. There's a lot of pieces attached there. A lot of components to that identity. Loneliness, uncertainty, mistrust. Mistrust of self, mistrust of others. Obsessive thinking. That was that identity. The identity that was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, severe obsessive compulsive disorder. That's the identity that I consciously let go of after the accident and is being triggered now. Because the last time I had that the last time I identified with that persona was at the beginning of my last relationship. That was the persona that I had created and was inhabiting and believed to be myself at the start of my last relationship, which lasted for 10 years. And now, as I'm choking on almond skins, now, here I am at the beginning of a relationship, and that persona is trying to claw back. It's come back to the surface because that's the persona that is correlated with starting relationship. And it's fascinating. It's terrifying. It's fascinating to see all of the things that trigger it. And I know it's triggered when I feel those old feelings, fear, doubt, uncertainty, all of that. All of that is just a bunch of illusion. It's a bunch of thought that's not mine, thought by an entity that's not me. Then I can see the pain body, the shadow component. I mean, it was primarily that. How much of it, how many thoughts were specifically intended to trigger me into anxiety and resistance, to trigger me into resistance, to trigger me into believing that thought and aligning with it and feeding something. So many thoughts that were designed just to get a rise out of me, to convince my consciousness to go down there, to align with, to identify with that thought, to think that I was thinking that thought, and then that I was feeling those emotions. They're not mine. They are literally not mine. There is this other energetic entity, essentially, thought form, egregore collection, that occasionally overlaps and tries to possess this form. All of that sounds scary. It's not so scary. It's just the way that it works. That probably doesn't make it less scary. It's okay. It's okay to feel fear. Trust me, I'm going through it. I know people go through this. People, presence. But I can see it. This relationship is special. It is. Because it is spiritually based. Because we are both aware of self and aware of the importance, the desire to honor self, which means putting self first, the relationship to self, looking within the self, the examination, the holding, the loving of self and all the components of that, the integration of self. That's number one. That's number one, because that is really ultimately all that you need is self, your relationship to self, your love of self. There is nothing that is needed beyond that. But there is desire, and that desire is right. That desire is right and righteous when you're in the place of knowing your completion and your wholeness. And that you're taking that complete self into the world and desiring, casting your desirous gaze, knowing that you are radically worthy, knowing that you are capable, knowing that you are absolutely abundant, knowing this to be true for everything and everyone, because it is all yourself, and yourself is these things. When you're moving through the world like that, and then you move into a connection, when you make a connection with someone at that level, where you are gazing, the gaze of source, knowing yourself to be divine, loving this being, this glorious fucking being before you, delighting in the nuance of their form, all of it, every aspect of it, loving it as it is, because that is the way you are learning to love yourself and practicing upon yourself. And then you feel that reflected back. That person loving you unconditionally, the way that you love. Holy shit. Recognizing the soul, seeing the soul first, delighting in the soul and every expression of it, realizing, seeing clearly how everything is an emanation of that soul, And that soul is so perfect and precious and divine and just immaculate. Immaculate in its expression, flawless in every aspect, all of the messiness, all of the murky, muddy, dark, sticky, soiled stuff, as well as the stuff that emerges from that, the stuff that's reaching towards the light, the stuff that is airy and feathery, and seeing how it all works together. And just in awe of all of it. And appreciating that now this practice is expanded. Everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual practice. Everything. This is tremendous, though. I do not think there is a greater spiritual practice. And it's what I've always desired, and it is what I was most afraid of. Because of how strongly I desire it. Because of how intensely it sharpens the practice. It is one thing to be sharing your wounds within yourself, to be holding them in space, your own gaze upon them. It is another thing to be sharing them in this sort of capacity, where there is vulnerability, we are sharing together. There is the recognition of I'm exposing myself to other, the exposure to other. That's another step. There are grades up from there, friends, family, but to have a connection with one that you feel such pure admiration and affection and appreciation for at such a deep level. And to give yourself, first of all, permission to feel those things. And know and surrender the outcome. Accept. They may or may not be reciprocated. To accept that and to flow the love anyway because of how good it feels, because of how pure it is, that it is absolutely unconditional. It needs nothing to satisfy itself. But the next step is letting that love in from other. Because I'm good at flowing it for myself, and I'm good at receiving it for myself. Still working on that many times, but it's gotten better and better. And then I'm good at flowing it for others, because I have flowed it for myself, and because I include myself in the flowing. But my God, is it scary. To really let in the love of someone else, that kind of love, a love that is that big, that is unconditional, that sees all of you, a love, a gaze cast upon me that is seeing all of my crunchy bits. All of the dark, icky, sticky, soiled stuff in me, all of my shit. All of my shadow, everything that I am and have created. And I know that all of it is right to be. And it becomes this collaborative practice of I witness and I love and accept all of this in you and in myself. And I witness you witnessing me and loving me and accepting this in me and not running from that. Being seen, every inch of being exposed to someone that in your eyes is just, well, it's not. It is your eyes, it is the eyes of source, it is the eyes of the true self, of the soul. And that sees that everything is as it should be. Always. Always. Each and every moment. It's perfect. And watching the progression, watching the shift. Watching the cycles. Appreciating just fucking everything. Every component of this thing, this divine spiritual being in human form, as human, divine and human, and fully human, fully fucking real. Real. And here's where the old component gets triggered. This is so real that it doesn't feel real. Because everything that the old persona was used to was not real. Was surface level fake stuff. Not real. Not here. Not visceral. Not deep. Not this kind of connected and actual and honest and true, and not this big and not this intense. And so everything in that old persona is saying it's not real, it can't be real, but it's fucking real. So this is the practice. Grounding into this, realizing the reality of this. I feel high. I haven't been in over a year. That's not a statement about drug use whatsoever. I smoked a lot of marijuana. There's no judgment, there's no statement. The statement is simply, I haven't done that in a year. I haven't been high in a year. I feel high. I feel unreal. And I'm trying to just embrace it as a part of all of this. To make the unreal feeling a part of reality. To bring that into the now, into the focus. To allow that to be felt deeply. If that is what is present, then that's what's here. And I accept what is. I am facing what is. My facing of reality is the sensation of unreality. A part of that previous identity was a lot of dissociation. Dissociated, disconnected, disembodied. A lot of this has driven my practice in coming back into the body, into the present, in feeling real. Feeling real, like I'm actually here, feeling grounded, not some floaty dream thing, not some spirit being out there. I'm here. I am in this physical form. I am having this experience. This is my life experience that I am creating and living. Actively, on purpose, consciously, deliberately, right now. Coming back into that. And I can feel the fear. And it's such a beautiful thing. I've just started this book, Existential Kink, that I've been wanting to read. I think it'll be a tremendous part of this practice, having to do with embracing fear. Fear is a state of arousal. It is psychosomatic arousal. We can choose physiological arousal. I don't know. Fucking words, right? Look at me with my big ass words that I don't know what I'm saying. We can use that. We can choose to view that arousal as positive. We can just get off on everything. That's the new Allie. That's the real Allie. The self in here. Allie is a name. It's a collection of sounds. Sounds that are a natural expression of this incarnation, this expression of self. But that's me. And that deeply terrifies the little Allie who was so shameful, bound up in shame and guilt and worry and panic and just afraid of herself, afraid of her sexuality, afraid of her body, afraid of expressing, afraid of being and feeling too much. That is the identity that is deeply triggered and will continue to be so. That is the identity we are releasing. Because it was never real. It was never me. It's always an idea, a concept that I allowed myself to believe was me. But it's not. I am becoming only more and more myself, and that excites me. That excites me. Most of all, or it does, because relationship to self, I mean, if we don't have the relationship to self, if we are not being and embodying our authentic self, if we are not expressing freely ourself, we don't feel good. And nothing else matters at that point. When we are being that self, everything is delicious. And we get to experience it fully. And I get to experience this. This is a gift that my soul and her soul and the self asked for because it wanted it and it admitted to its desire, and knowing its desire was righteous and right, not just to have, not just to feel, but to ask for and to receive. To give and be given it. We gave ourselves permission. I gave myself permission to ask for this from the deepest place, the emotional core of my being. To know that I was worthy of it, that I am worthy of it, no matter what. I am worthy right fucking now. And continue to be, no matter what. There's the awareness that this is sacred. It's sacred, holy so. But it's not serious. It's sincere. It's real. And that means we get to play. We deserve this. We are worthy of this. We ask, seeing our ask to be right and righteous, we give ourselves permission, knowing we are radically worthy and absolutely abundant. This is delivered. Knowing it is delivered, we receive. And now this is complete, knowing this is complete, that we are deserving, we are worthy, and we could never be anything less than. We get to enjoy. We get to have fun. We get to delight in this. So that's what I intend to do. In all the terror, in all of the triggering and anxiety, and the incredible transformation opportunity that I am taking in this, more than anything, I get to play. We get to play. We get to have fun with it, with everything, because that's what we're here to do. Have fun. Give yourself permission to dream, knowing that your dream is right to be, and it is real. It's fucking real. Give yourself permission to believe it. See where it takes you. Play. Have fun with it. Explore, experiment, adventure. That is what this life experience is all about. Now I'm going to go brush my teeth. Because I have some playing to do. And I am terrified and excited. As it should be. Have a beautiful fucking day. You are awesome. I love you.